Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a wonderful show for you today. Today, in a few minutes, we're going to have Congressman Al Green. He's going to be talking about quite a few things. We had an extensive interview today, and I think you guys are going to love it. But anyway, before we get busy, need to welcome everybody. Welcome aboard. ABQ says, Egberto, I'm prepping to head out in a few minutes, only here for the first half. Meantime, I've got a bit of a long one today. 7 minutes understood. What is it about? Because I want to make sure, because I got a long show as well. Tell me what it's about real quickly. By the way, Jacqueline Campisi, La Profesora, is in the house. How you doing, Jacqueline? Great to have you here with us today. We also, I guess you're off from school. That's right. Today is the last day of school, I believe. Am I correct? I believe. Avery Herod from Atlanta, Georgia is in the house. How you doing, beautiful? Great to have you here. And we have Carl Cox is in the house from Georgia. No. Carl Cox is in the house from, I always get Carl Cox's place wrong, but I'm going to remember in the long run. About understanding their position. Okay, I'll put that one at the end. Let's see what else we got here. Eric is in the house as well, and I'm trying to get my Daily Coast link going. So bear with me as I get that going. As soon as I get that going, what's his name? Al Green. I will be able to continue. Let me publish this real quick. All right, we've got, I need a title. We need to get started on Daily Coast. Come on, guys. Egberto, why? I need an assistant. I need an assistant. Here we go. Bingo, that one is queued up. All right, okay, let's get down to our Riverdale, Georgia. That's right, Riverdale, Georgia from Carl Cox. Lee Grant is in the house from Montgomery County. Now let's go to we have Eric Makisak. Let's see, Eddie Tubner, PJ Schuster, Judy, Kathy Ray. Judy is from Poughkeepsie, New York. I love that name. We also have Bruce Pollard. How you doing, Bruce, from Kingwood, Texas? And let's say Schuster is from Ruidoso, Mexico. I actually went to Ruidoso, Mexico. We stayed on this resort right here next to the mountain, and it was a resort where there's a short, I think it was a 9-hole golf course in the middle of the resort. Went out there and did a little bit of fun with the family. In that area, I think there's also a racetrack out there in Ruidoso. Nice place. Love Ruidoso. It was real nice. The temperature was great when we went out there. Cool in the mornings, warm in the afternoons. Era perfecto. Anyway, who else have we got? Let me see. I have a short that I want to play you guys before I get started, though. And I think I can get it done. And this short has to do with Chip Roy. Chip Roy, a MAGA guy, Chip Roy. And he has made, in his rant, made more sense than every neoliberal Democrat and all Republicans, MAGA or otherwise. I want you to listen to this, and then I think we will take it on the other side. Let me go ahead and I got out of here. No, it's not going to play on that one. It's not going to play on that one. Let's go ahead and play it here. put this onto the screen, and I am pretty. Let's cover my face. Put it on the screen, and let's go ahead and do that now. Here it goes. All right, where are you, volume? Okay, there we go.
During a hearing tonight on healthcare costs, you've got Republican Congressman Chip Roy from Texas just went absolutely nuclear on both sides of the aisle. During a hearing tonight on healthcare costs, you've got to see this.
And now we're sitting here and we're listening to nonsense about healthcare. Where my colleagues on the other side of the aisle sit here saying, well, you guys aren't doing anything about the massive expensive cost of healthcare. Why do you think it's expensive?
Wait for it.
Because you literally cut a deal with insurance companies to run healthcare. You think that's going to run wild? Yeah. That's why they have 2,000% profit increases, and the American people can't afford to go to the doctor of their choice while we enrich insurance companies. And yet Republicans will complain about it, and then they'll offer milquetoast garbage like we're offering this week, and then go home at Christmas and say, look at what we're doing. We're campaigning on reducing healthcare. Well, congratulations.
Exactly.
At some point, people will look at this body and say, maybe we should get rid of all 435 members of the House and all 100 members of the Senate and start over, because Congress is literally failing the American people. I yield back.
Look, I may not like Chip Roy, but the man was spitting some facts. Republicans do not want to solve the healthcare crisis because then they cannot run on it. They have full power of every branch of government right now. If they wanted to fix the issue, they could.
I agree. With absolutely everything MAGA Chip Roy said, I agree with it. Unfortunately, he's disingenuous. But you know what? His statements there were on point. And it's not just a Republican problem. Obamacare is not what it should be, not because of Republicans. Obamacare is what it is because of Democrats. Okay? We could have done a lot better if we didn't allow the insurance companies to run the show. But anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and have a little chat with brother, the Honorable Representative Al Green. And here it is. Welcome to another edition of Politics and Right. I'm Egberto Willis, your host. Today, we're honored to have the one and only Texas Congressman Al Green. In the crucible of Texas politics, Congressman Al Green stands as a veteran advocate for civil rights, federal accountability, and working class interests whose career has spanned 2 decades. From his first election to the U.S. House of Representatives in 2004 through his current campaign for Texas's 18th congressional district, Green's trajectory reflects both the resilience and the strategic challenges facing progressive Democrats confronting GOP-driven redistricting in the Lone Star State. Rooted in Houston's African-American community and beyond, and steeped in a legacy of social justice, Green's work in Congress has blended legislative activism with moral urgency, from housing equity to confronting presidential misconduct. Welcome to Politics Done Right, Congressman. How are you doing today?
As I've indicated many times, better than I deserve. I have been granted the gift of life, the most precious gift in all of the universe, and I didn't earn it. So I'm grateful, and I'm going to try to do the best that I can with it.
Well, I try not to disagree with Congress people, but I must disagree with you. I think you have quite earned it since from not only what you're doing in Congress, what you did before Congress as well, as you were always one of the pillars of the community. So I would say you've quite earned it, sir.
Well, thank you for being so kind. I come from a Christian faith wherein we believe in something called grace. And what I have with life is something called grace, something that you just can't explain, but you have to be grateful, and you ought to do your best to make sure that you use it not just for yourself, but for others as well. So I've been blessed, and I promise you that you and I, as we will with others, will work together to make the world a better place.
You know, I still remember you confronting the president in the halls of Congress, something that at the time, few politicians, let alone few Democrats, were doing.
Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Take your seat. Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the sergeant at arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber. Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House.
I have to say that that day made us all proud. It brought not just the working spirit, but the fighting spirit, which is what we expect out of you going forward.
Well, thank you very much. That was one of those occasions when spontaneity and probably my history, my life experiences, my lived experiences, they came into play. I was there at the joint session of Congress. My intentionality was to simply stand and walk out as the president was speaking. But as I was collecting my portable items, my coat, it was a very cold night, and my cane, the president talked about his mandate. And I just could not resist telling him that he did not have a mandate to cut Medicaid. And of course, my colleagues across the aisle, they became very loud and boisterous, and they tried to drown me out. So then I stood and said to him, you don't have a mandate to cut Medicaid, Medicare, or Social Security. Of course, the speaker did not agree with my commentary and the way that I presented myself, and I was escorted out of Congress. I'm the only person ever to be evicted from a joint session of Congress. And then I was censured for my commentary and my behavior. And I've said to people, it was spontaneity, it was not planned. But if I had a chance to plan it and do it again, I would. And it would not be with spontaneity, because I now realize the necessity for us to resist, and to resist in forums where others can know that we are resisting, not resist quietly with, just say, a letter. Resist where people will know that someone is fighting and trying to make a difference when we have very few tools to fight with. We don't have a lot. So when we have these opportunities, I think we have to take advantage of them. And I'm just appreciative that people have understood that I was censured but not silenced. And people have stood with me. When we were in the well, I was there to be censured. You have to stand in the well and your colleagues are there, and then they read this statement of censorship. Well, I'm standing there. My colleagues came into the well with me, the Honorable Maxine Waters, and we sang "We Shall Overcome" as the censure statement was being read. So it's important for people to stand with you, and I'm so grateful that they did. I promise you, we will continue to resist, and we will use the tools that we have, which includes impeachment. We cannot overlook that tool, especially when you have a president who should be impeached, who makes threats against members of Congress, who threatens judges, who is tampering with the independence of the judiciary, who would have us believe that if you tell members of the armed forces that they should not follow illegal orders, somehow they ought to be hanged. Now, if this isn't impeachable, what is? So I believe you have to use these tools.
Not to speak about using our military in the Caribbean Sea off of Venezuela with the potential of establishing a war, something that will be completely and entirely illegal. And I hope the Congress will do their job on that. With regards to your censure, it's interesting because I imagine a lot of the people, including many in red states right now, would take that back now as they realize that they were had by the people they voted for. As now in January, many will find that they either lose their insurance, can't afford their insurance, and even those not on the ACA will realize that their insurance rates are going up because specifically of what you got censored for.
You are eminently correct. Eminently. This is the exemplar of what I was calling to the attention of the public at that time. And by the way, it became a battle cry for us to talk about how Medicaid was not to be cut. And we've cut almost $1 trillion out of this healthcare program that benefits more than poor people, by the way. If you live long enough, you're likely to need Medicaid because long-term health care, you get that with Medicare and Medicaid. So you're going to need it. And yes, this is something that we are now having a battle with the Republicans, and I have to say the Republicans because the Democrats want to make sure that we maintain the coverage that we have for people who are in need of the coverage. But in January, if they don't do something highly unusual, which means they would have to call us back to Congress and we would have to make some decisions about this that would help people with their premiums. If we don't do this, then people are going to be angry. And many people have already expressed the fact that they made a mistake when they put this man in charge of our country. He is unfit to be president. I don't enjoy saying this. I take no great delight in saying it, but he's just unfit to do this job. And he cares about making money more than he cares about making the lives of people better who are dependent upon the government for certain things. Healthcare is one of these things. I'm a guy who believes in universal healthcare, a single payer plan. I believe in Medicare for all, but more appropriately put, medical care for all. I believe in medical care for all. Medicare for all has some gaps in it that I'd like to fix, and I would call that medical care for all. So I'm with you entirely, and I do agree that there are people who are having a buyer's remorse, and well, they should, because what they bought was something that they did not realize they were paying for.
Now, you jumped the gun on me on the question on Medicare for all, but we'll get back to that. Thank you for pointing that out. However, let me tell you something. I think, Congressman, there is most people have been concentrating on the $1 trillion loss in Medicaid, et cetera. But what they forget is that there are past congressional laws that were passed that because the deficit will be so elevated that even Medicare will be cut by up to $500 billion as well. And that isn't quite articulated sufficiently, in my opinion, to let people know how devastating this bill actually is.
Well, this big, ugly steal is what I call it. Not a big, beautiful bill, but a big, ugly steal, because they stole from Medicaid and lined the pockets of billionaires, people who are very wealthy. It seems that we have this attitude of the poor can do more with less, but the very wealthy need more to do more. More with less if you're poor, very wealthy, you need more so that you can do more. So we line their pockets. And in so doing, we have now put Medicare at risk. Medicare may be found to be less than efficacious because if you don't have the money to cover the needs of people, then you're not as effective as you could be with the healthcare program. And that's where we are headed with Medicare. But it also has just impacted things in general in this country. That money that we gave to the very wealthy is money that could have been spent on schools and education. It's money that could be spent on housing. We have a housing shortage in this country. We need to do more to make sure that people can get that first home. First-time home buyers are having great difficulty now. The big corporations are buying up large tracts of homes, and then they jack up the price once they get them. You can't rent them at the price that you might normally do so because they own all of them and they can set the prices. So there are other things that have been hurt as a result of that big, ugly steal that they imposed upon the American people. And affordability is an issue. We all agree that affordability is an issue. But I'm going to mention one other thing that is rarely mentioned, but it's a fact of life if you are a person of color in the United States of America. And by the way, I don't hate the country. I believe in what the Constitution says. I think the Declaration of Independence speaks well. But the truth is, we still have racism. And we have reached a point in our country where we want to eliminate anti-Semitism, and I'm among those who want to. I'm going to fight anti-Semitism wherever I see it. But we want to manage racism. We still deal with racism if we are people of color in this country. I was the chairperson of the subcommittee on oversight and investigation for the Financial Services Committee under the leadership of the Honorable Maxine Waters. We provided the empirical evidence to show that if you're a person of color, you can walk into a bank and you can be eminently qualified, and a less qualified person who is Anglo, we say white in this country, I don't really like the term, so I say Anglo. If you're Anglo and you're less qualified, you can get more money on better terms than a well-qualified person of color. That happens in this country to this very day. We introduced legislation to deal with that. The legislation would penalize you criminally if you deny a person a loan that person is qualified for. Currently, the law is such that if you defraud the bank can file criminal charges against you, and you can go to prison and pay a fine. But if the bank defrauds you of a loan that can give you the same future that is giving other people, there's no such criminal penalty. Well, we passed a law to change that. My point is, as I digressed, is this. There were many things that could have been done with the money that we line the pockets of the very wealthy with. The very wealthy are doing well. I think that we have to care about those who are well off, well-heeled, and among the well-to-do. But also you have to care about the least, the last, and the lost. Persons who don't have the same opportunities as others. And whether we like it or not, America's about opportunities and who gets them and who can take advantage of it. So we have to make sure that opportunities are equally distributed among all of the masses.
Let me just tell you that what you just spoke about, the bank isn't just something out of the air. It actually happened to me. I can tell you, my friend, that as a business owner, I had to build my business on the 21% credit card debt because I couldn't get the 6 and 7% debt a friend of mine, less qualified, actually got. So this isn't implicit. This is real, what you just spoke about. So I can tell that offhand. Now, you also mentioned about Medicare getting affected. I want folks to realize that there is a policy within Congress known as sequestration, which will kick in and cause the Medicare decline with this new budget that has passed. But Congressman, I want to get into District 18, and you run in for District 18 right now. We have two young candidates that are going to be running in District 18. Your district has been cannibalized by the new redistricting done by the Republican Congress. So in effect, they have created it such that they created a platform such that you will be contesting 18 with two new candidates that are going to be running. What's your thoughts on that?
First thought is I want everybody to run who's qualified to run. And to be qualified, the Constitution talks about 25 years of age or older. So I want them to run. I don't want to bar anybody from running for Congress. I have found myself in a position where people assume that I have moved into the 18th Congressional District to run. Not true. The 18th Congressional District moved to me. My house was drawn into the 18th Congressional District. But not only did it draw my house in, but it drew in the homes of about 500,000 of my constituents. So the 18th Congressional District, as it is styled, as it is called, as it is labeled, is really more 9, which is what I currently represent, than 18. So I have not done anything that I wouldn't do ordinarily. Run from where my home is to represent the people I have been representing. That's all I'm doing. And that's what I plan to do, and I will continue to do that.
Well, Congressman, with all the things that I do, I didn't quite know that. I didn't quite know that 500,000 of the 700-something thousand constituencies within that district was actually yours from the 9th. I didn't quite realize that.
Yes, sir. Here's what happened. The lines were moved such that I am now in the 18th. They moved the number 9 over to the east of where I currently reside. And they made number 9 a district that is more Republican leaning than I could possibly imagine. It really is. Only less than 5% is what the current number 9 is in this new 9. Less than 5% of it. Most of the new 9 is now in what we're calling the 18th, which is where my home is, which is where I will be voting. I will be voting for myself. If I moved over to this new 9 that they've created, I couldn't vote for myself. Why would I run from a district where I can't support myself, where I can't vote for myself? So I'm running from this new 18. There will be a old 18, and there will be someone representing that district in Congress until the end of the unexpired term that the Honorable Sylvester Turner had. That term ends in January of 2027, around January the 3rd or thereabout. So when it ends, then the new 18 that I'm running for will begin. Now, there's nothing that prevents people from running for the old 18 and the new 18. So we have some of that taking place. And I encourage people to run. People are making a big to-do of my age. It seems that they just can't believe that I'm 78 years old. You know, maybe I don't look it, but I am. I'm 78. I say this with a degree of humor because they keep publishing. Every time they publish my name, they publish the fact that I'm 78 years old. Well, you know, there are some people in Congress who've been there a lot longer who are still working effectively. I think that we should judge people based upon their output, not their years of being on the planet. How long you live is a wonderful thing, but the service that you give is more important. And I believe that anybody who is over 25 should run, and I'm seeking the vote of all people. Anybody that can vote, I want you. Now, there are some people who are just going after a certain age group. I leave that to them. I want the support of everybody because I'm going to serve everybody. And finally, on this point, this is salient. People are blaming now my two friends, Jackson Lee and Sylvester Turner. They're saying that they should have resigned. They shouldn't have had what I will call an untimely demise in terms of their work being done. That they should have resigned so that we wouldn't have this problem that we're having now of someone having to replace them in Congress. Well, there are 2 points to be made on this. The first is, it's the governor that did this. They didn't create this problem. We have people who pass while in Congress, and we don't have this elongated period of time for the replacement to be put in place. We don't have it. It's the governor of the state of Texas. His name is Abbott. It's Governor Abbott that keeps pushing the lines back and he's doing this so that President Trump can have greater influence with the House of Representatives because the margins are very tight. So they don't want any more representation from our side, meaning the side of Democrats. They don't want any more. And as a result, the governor's doing this. That's the first point. So the governor would do it regardless as to your age. And the final point is this. No one knows for whom the bell will toll next. No one. You cannot prognosticate and say that the bell is going to toll for this person, but not for that person. No one. There are many people who are in the best of health who have not awakened this morning. In the best of health, one car accident. You never know for whom the bell will toll next. I'm not running a death campaign based upon someone having to expire for me to somehow get elected. That's not the way I was reared. I was reared to respect people who have institutional knowledge. If you think that you're going to come to Congress and assume a position up on the upper part of the dais with Maxine Waters as the chairperson of financial services, you are wrong. You're going to be there at least 10 years before you get to that point. There is something called seniority. Seniority is blessed with something called institutional knowledge. If you want to eliminate institutional knowledge, you will have neophytes who will do well, I'm sure, but they will do well as neophytes. They won't do well as persons who have the benefit of the institutional knowledge necessary to maneuver certain things because of the relationships that have been established.
Well, Congressman, I think you have put that to rest. You have definitely put that to rest on two terms. First, I didn't realize that the district absorbed you, number one, and number two, good point. Nobody know who's going to be called. Let's remember our good friend Bernie Sanders, right? So,
look, Trump himself is he's
no. You don't want to use Trump as an example. Please don't use Trump as an example. But let's get further. Let me just say this: some kudos to you, my brother, and it goes as follows.
Thank you.
Without asking you, one of the most important tenets policies that we need here in the United States of America is Medicare meaning medical care for all. And you came out straight and you didn't whip about it. And you said that's what you want. What I've been talking to all constituencies about is anybody who doesn't support somebody who full-throatedly come out and say the only viable policy in this country now is Medicare for all, or in your parlance, medical care for all. It's not worth giving a chance in Congress. Punto y final. Point taken. Now, go ahead.
May I add one thing to that, please? And I appreciate your saying it. John Conyers introduced.
Love him. Yes.
John Conyers, 2 years before I arrived in Congress, Medicare for all.
676, I believe.
When I arrived in Congress in 2005, I have been voting for Medicare for all and co-sponsoring this legislation. Jayapal took it over when Conyers resigned, and I've been co-sponsoring it with her as well. It is the only way we can make sure that healthcare doesn't become wealth care. Wealth care, where the very rich and members of Congress, I might add, have some of the best healthcare in the world. But if you're not among these two classes, and there are some others, then you're not likely to get it. In this country, if you are a bank robber and we should wound you on the way out as you're robbing the bank and we capture you, we're going to give you aid and comfort. If you're in the military and we strike you, we're having a big battle now about people who were hit by drones out in the ocean. And we had a second strike on them. There's a big battle now about why didn't we stop that and give them aid and comfort out in the middle of the ocean. That's what we do. That's who we are. So if we can give aid and comfort to the bank robber, aid and comfort to the person who is in mortal combat with us, then surely we can give aid and comfort to hard-working people in this country who only want to do what they can to take care of themselves, their families, and just build a better life, which means you're going to have a better life for people in the country. That's what this medical care is all about. It is aid and comfort for people, regardless as to your station in life. It's a right. It is not something that is a privilege for the very wealthy. We cannot allow healthcare to be wealth care in the richest country in the world.
You know, Congressman, I think this is an opportunity, especially given the fraud on America that we had with the big bad bill, for us to go into the rural areas, for us to go into every part of the world, every part of America that will be hit real hard, for them to actually see who's at fault. Now, we're coming close to our time, so I have some rapid things I want to ask you, because I really want to hear your thoughts on this. Will you be one who would try to get the Senate? I know you're not in the Senate, you're in the Congress, but convince your colleagues to get rid of the filibuster.
Absolutely. Look, the filibuster is the reason a man was able to fight civil rights legislation, anti-lynching legislation. The filibuster is something that has been used more to harm us than to help us. When we had a chance to pass John Lewis voting rights, we couldn't do it because of two senators, Manchin and Sinema.
Right.
They stood in the way of our having the opportunity to carve out an exception for civil rights laws, for what John Lewis fought for at the Edmund Pettus Bridge on Bloody Sunday. Yes, we need to get rid of it. And I would also say this to you. There's a man named Richard Russell. He was a self-proclaimed white supremacist. The Russell Senate Office building is named after him. Richard Russell used that filibuster to keep us from acquiring our human rights, civil rights, much earlier in our lives in this country, because he was able to block things using the filibuster. So it has outlived its purpose. And quite frankly, it has not had a noble purpose at all. It's been an ignoble piece of legislation that ought to be abandoned.
From its genesis, actually. From its genesis, it was
That's
done. Right. Now, on another subject, right now we have 9 people who have ultimate power to control our lives. Even if Congress, if a Democratic Congress and a Democratic president affirms a law, we have a rogue Supreme Court that could simply say, that law is unconstitutional. And no matter what progressive values you want to institute in America, they can put it down. Are you one who would try to democratize the Supreme Court?
I think that the Supreme Court, very unfortunately, has become a tool of the executive branch. Very, very unfortunate that this has occurred. We have seen how this president has dealt with due process of the law to the extent that you would take a person who is accused of something, and you take this person and you send them to some distant place, another country, and you have judges saying, hey, you can't do that. You've got to give this man a chance to raise his hand and say, oh, wait a minute, you got the wrong guy. No, you don't get a chance. That's what due process is about. Being able to say, hey, wait a minute, I'm not the person. You got the wrong person for whatever reasons. This president doesn't respect due process of the law. He doesn't respect the independence of the judiciary. When the judiciary rules against him, he calls the judges lunatics. This is a person who is unfit to be president. And the Supreme Court is aiding and abetting what he is doing. So yes, I want to make sure that we have a Supreme Court that understands that you should not allow the fact that a president said he was going to put you on the court to do a certain thing for you to be guided by that. He put people on the court to eliminate Roe v. Wade. He put them there, and they've done it. I am not sure that this court, dear brother, please forgive me for having to say this to you, and I beg others will forgive me for having to hear this, but I'm not sure that this court could pass Brown versus Board of Education.
It could.
I'm not sure.
No doubt.
That this court would say that separate but equal is unconstitutional. And I'm not sure that in my lifetime and your lifetime, we won't have a case before the court where someone is saying, I don't have to serve people that I don't want to serve in my business. And that's what Brown was about. Say you can't decide that you're going to just exclude people because of their color. You can't deny them housing because of their color. You can't deny them access to places in your business and opportunities. You can't do it. That's what the boycott was about in Montgomery, Alabama. So I'm saying to you, this Supreme Court is a Supreme Court that clearly has been put in the hands of the president, who has demonstrated that he does not consider constitutional rights primary. They're either secondary, tertiary, or quaternary, but they're not primary in his world.
We're sort of up for time, Congressman. So let me ask you the last question I always ask, and that is, what would you have liked me to ask you that I've denied asking you?
Well, I must compliment you. You've been very thorough. So you hit the very important questions. I would like to just give you a closing thought, maybe. And here's my closing thought. If we don't understand what Dr. King fought for, what John Lewis fought for, what Rosa Parks went to jail for, what Dr. King literally died for, which was our rights, our constitutional rights, our right to not allow racism to determine our destiny. We must learn to say racism again. We must not be afraid to say that this is racist when we see it. We have to challenge it as such. And Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act that is now under assault, it's all about racism and protecting us from racism when it comes to voting and getting elected to office. And if we can't say racism and talk about how it still exists, John Lewis and what they did at the Edmund Pettus Bridge is going to become but a memory. It won't become a part of our everyday lives in terms of protecting us against racism. I thank you for the opportunity to be with you. You have been more than thorough, and I want to let your audience know that you have someone here who's willing to speak truth to power. But more important than speaking truth to power, dear brother, is speaking truth about power. You speak truth to power, you say, power, there's a problem. Let's solve it. But when you speak truth about power, you say, power, there's a problem, and you're it. Power is the problem.
The Honorable Texas Congressman Al Green, thank you so kindly for having been on Politics Done Right.
Thank you, brother.
All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed that. It took me a while to set this one up. We finally got all our connections together, and everything worked out fine. Anyway, yeah, what's this about Donald Trump putting his name and getting first billing on the Kennedy Center? It requires congressional approval to do that. He didn't get congressional approval, but immediately after announcing, somehow they could come up with all the characters necessary to put the Donald Trump and the Kennedys. Oh my God, this is ridiculous. Thank you, Lee Grant. This is ridiculous. Uh, Pollard, Bruce, my brother, you're right. Says putting his name on the Kennedy pact without approval is bad. Yep. I mean, there's going to be so much to impeach this guy for. I don't know if that one isn't an impeachable offense. It's an illegal thing that he did, but I don't know if that one qualifies for impeachability. But Congressman Al Green, point out that yep, the guy has done a whole lot of impeachable things that we should get him for. Anyway, folks, give me a call, 281-823-7747. Give me a call, 281-823-7747. I'm waiting for Le Deneuve to put that number in the chat. I know it's going to have it there in a little bit. Una vez más lo voy a repetir. Llámame al 281-823-7747. Repitiéndolo una vez más, será 281-823-7747. Hablo español también. If anybody wants to call, want to tell me anything sobre la migra, me puede llamar y podemos hablar de eso también. Les puede dar soluciones o recomendaciones. Give me a call, 713, or rather 281-823-7747. All right. Next topic of discussion is as wage growth. Here we go. Ray Brackens. Brother Ray, how you doing, sir?
Happy Friday to you, Egberto.
Happy Friday.
Yes, and thank you for, getting that interview with the Honorable Al Green, who is representing the 9th District, which currently is where I live, and so I had the privilege of being able to call him my representative in this district, and obviously, he did say something, that is true. The governor is the reason we have all this crap going on right now, because he didn't have the balls to stand up to President Trump when he said, go and find me 5 seats. And I know for a fact that, the reason we're going through this issue is because Trump specifically wanted to cannibalize his seat and Jasmine Crockett's seat so he wouldn't have to hear from him. He literally probably went to Governor Abbott's desk and said, I want those two so-and-sos, insert racist word, to be eliminated from Congress.
You know what is interesting? I think you may have, if you, according to what Al just told me, you next year you may actually be in the 18th.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like, and I know exactly what the game is here. He wanted black on black political crime. That's what Trump wanted. He wanted to say, okay, well, Al Green don't want to know how to shut his mouth, so we're gonna make him shut his mouth by eliminating his district, and that's where I fall in the mix. Now, obviously, I think he did a very strong pitch for why it would be better to choose seniority over youth in this particular matter. I am definitely one to say that I'm conflicted, as a voter, having been a part of this, debacle with the late Sheila Jackson Lee, who I admired quite a bit, and the late Sylvester Turner, who wanted to fill her shoes knowing his health situation. And we don't know if he knew what his health situation is. I could look at him, at the point when he was running for office. I could say, Mayor Turner, you don't look well. I know you say you have the best health insurance, blah, blah, blah. But if you look back in retrospect, was that the best decision for the Democratic Party to make to do that?
When I think that applies to. Look, I love the two of them more so the Honorable Sheila Jackson Lee than Sylvester, but Sylvester as well. I've had a friendly relationship with Sylvester Turner, but I tell you, I was out there for Juneteenth, and I was with him on Juneteenth. Him and what's the senator from that's in Austin, redhead. Um, we were out there at Juneteenth, and I'm sorry, but he looked sickly then, and that's probably a year before he actually died. And so I mean, even when he was, when they had the meetings with all the precinct chairs to determine whether it was going to be him or Amanda Edwards, I'm sorry, even there he didn't look too good. So I don't. I think we have to be careful, and I think I had a change of heart when he told me the district crossed the line, because here's what I thought. I saw the lines. I thought that Al Green remained in District 9, but was going to cross over to 18 because he thought it was a more winnable district. I, I learned when I interviewed him today that 500,000 of his 800,000 or so constituents actually are now in 19. He has a right to this
I didn't know the
500,000
number.
constituents. Yeah, I didn't know it either. And he told me that today. He said, look, Egberto, 500,000 of my constituents are now in District 19. And then I immediately, because we kind of spoke a little bit about it beforehand, and I'm like, oh, I stand corrected. I didn't know that. So, I mean, he has a right to his constituents, right?
I agree. I would be in that number. I would be one of the 500,000. And
Exactly.
I, like I say, I am in a conflict because having seen that, having worked with the candidate, the young Isaiah Martin, I knew the dynamics of that race,
Hmm.
and the people we were campaigning are not even going to be in his district
Well,
if he
y'all
would have
were
won
fighting.
that race.
Y'all were fighting against the machine. I'm sorry. The machine is really now Menifee. He is the choice of the machine. The thing about it
I
is,
agree.
I interviewed Amanda. I like Amanda Edwards. Amanda came on my show 3 times. I asked Amanda point blank exactly what I asked Al Green there. What's your stance on Medicare for all? And Amanda gave me a roundabout answer, and I understood why she did it. Menifee didn't even, was scheduled to come on my show, canceled. I'm sorry, not canceled. What is the word when they just didn't show? He didn't show, but his spotter then saw me at the CEC meeting and said, "Hey, we really want to come on." But I know one of the reasons that they probably didn't come on is he actually know that the question about Medicare for all was coming. And while Al Green forcefully comes out and says, I am for Medicare for all, I don't think either one of those guys are going to come out and say it. Neither Amanda or Menifee is going to say that. And that is my litmus test right there. Because I think with what's happening in healthcare right now and how many people, both in the red lands and blue lands, are going to be suffering, this may be our best shot at coming close to Medicare for all. Continue, my brother.
Yeah, and that's a problem for me. These two young candidates, especially Menifee, because Menifee had a position. I campaigned to put Menifee in the position for a second term as county attorney. And I know these politicians sometimes they have ego get in the way, and they say, you know what, I could do something bigger at it in a different position. Let me just leave this seat and find something
Right.
else to do. And I wasn't really on board with that. Amanda Edwards, I've seen her, fighting to try to get a position, and I feel like this go round might have been a better connection with
Hmm.
the community for her as she was able to move into the runoff. Honestly, if you ask my opinion, it should have been between Amanda Edwards and Jolanda Jones, who, by the way, has endorsed Amanda
She
Edwards.
just endorsed Amanda. Yeah, and I think Amanda can actually pull the race out. Of course, she'll only serve for a year, but I think she can pull the race out. The thing about it, though, is like I said, and by the way, we can't take away anything from Amanda Edwards. That woman is a hard worker. She goes out there and works the district. She's not as progressive as I would like her to be, but she is a very hard worker, and so is now Menifee. I mean, there's some silly stuff going on social media right now with Menifee talking about Amanda's host calling out. I mean, silly stuff. They don't need to go there. They need to grow up and be better than that. Back and forth. Let the people decide which one they prefer. But anyhow, anything else you want to add, my brother?
Yeah, with respect to the Honorable Al Green, you know, he did make a good case in point for age, you know, which would
Hmm.
be my concern. But you know, he's very healthy right now, and I'll say if the race were held today and I had to make a decision based on just hearing him talk to you in that interview, I have to say, you know what? Let's go with God's grace. The man has seniority. He has the fight. He's very well aware of the issues. There's no sign of a decline in mental acuity. So you know what? Let the man serve out his term. You know, with the constituents that know who he is, and we'll let the other stuff figure itself out. That's because we know the governor that we're dealing with. That's
Yeah.
that's what I
Let me
take from that interview.
no. Let me just say, he didn't only convince you to vote for him. If I were voting in your district, which you are, I'm not. I'm in a different district. But my urging would be when it comes around to 2026, he is my guy, and it's simply on healthcare. Right now, I am focused on healthcare and how it is destroying our personal economies. That is enough to tell me. And this is a stance I'm going to be taking with absolutely every congressional candidate. It's about healthcare. And the closer you are to support Medicare for all, the you are to get my full-throated support. Period. Uh, you know, it's that simple. I don't want to hear any weaving and pretzeling or anything like that. If you want me to support you publicly, support Medicare for all. It's that simple. Anyway, thank you, my brother, for
Absolutely.
calling in as usual, my brother. You have a good one. Okay.
All right, you as well. Take care.
All right. Anybody else who wants to call, the number is 281-823-7747. I'll repeat the number 281-823 7747. Schuster says, Bruce, that is just, well, let's see. That is just one of many horrible, petty, ego driven things he's done. The plaques under the president's portraits. Can't believe he did that. In that hallway, the photo of the auto pen in place of Joe Biden's pick, the destruction of, I mean, this guy is ridiculous. And the thing about it is, the media takes him too seriously, and they give him a power he really should not have. Okay, it is that simple. All right, what else have we got here? What else have we got here? One more time, folks, if you want to call in, you have about 3 minutes. 281-823-7747. Let me see if there's anything else in the chat need to be read. Uh, Rudnan says conservatives in the chat rallying as ICE is shown to be deeply unpopular. Their vice signaling their fear and racism. Understand that a large supermajority, nearly 80% of Americans support immigration. A majority of Americans disapprove of ICE. You know why? 98% of ICE detainees have no violent criminal records. And I bet if you were to check the criminal records of some of these ICE people, you'd find that some of them were the ones that were actually pardoned by the thug in chief. But you know, there's a video that I wanted to play you guys, but I didn't get enough time to process it. And it had to do with a person who was standing up there watching them put the letters up, Donald Trump on the Kennedy Center. And this guy's statement said it all. I'll probably have it for you either over the weekend or on uh, on on Monday. I'm going to be starting back our weekly special for our paid subscribers pretty soon. I don't know if I'm doing it this weekend or I'm going to start it in the beginning of the year. I want all of you that are paid subscribers to forgive me not doing all these um, your special live. But let me just tell you guys, the amount of work right now, especially as I'm gearing up for 2026, is overwhelming. I'm still trying to create workflows that allows me to, maybe drop a couple hours. Right now I'm doing 16 hours. I'd love to drop it to 14 hours. And I'm trying to develop workflows that will allow me to do that and still be able to go to our rallies and CEC meetings and Houston Peace and Justice Center meetings, and so there's a whole lot that I want to kind of manage the workflow a little bit better. So we're working on that. So rest assured that all of you, my heart is out there with you. Um, as far as our subscriptions are still far behind. So we quite need a whole lot more of you to become paid subscribers. And I know in the long run you will. So please consider doing that now if you have the wherewithal. politicsandright.com/newsletter would take you to our subscribe to the newsletter, politicsandright.com/newsletter, and I'm going to put that in the chat right now. Please consider becoming a paid subscriber now. We are way behind. By now, we should be at 2,000. I checked today, we're at 498. We're at 498. I was hoping last week to be at the 505, but not yet. So those of you who can become paid subscribers, again, it's less, as somebody said yesterday, it's less than a coffee. Help us continue to do what we are doing here. All right, folks, got to get out of here. I want to thank all of you for being here. Thank you for listening both to my 3 o'clock show and a lot on my 6 o'clock show. I am always perplexed that the 6 o'clock show, well, I guess it's because people are in the car, etc. That get a lot of call-ins. Anyway, folks, I got to get out of here. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? What am I again? Out! Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.